All right. We've had to
Okay.
drop Val out of the screen share because we're having too much glitching and interference. So we'll see if this works better. So Shawn, can you please tell us about the relationship that David had with your daughter, Carly? So they are biological half brother and half sister, essentially. But you mentioned to us that David spoke to her about having a genetic sibling attraction and wanted to know if she knew what that meant. So please tell me about the relationship between David and Carly. That sounds very, very awkward.
David wanted to have this relationship with her, but Carly couldn't do that because she's too busy. And he would get really upset and complain to me that, well, she really doesn't want anything to do with me because she won't come over here and hang out. He was obsessed with her. He would not let it go. He until finally she had to reject him because she confided in me about something he was asking her, and it's called genetic sibling attraction. Now, we had never heard of that. And I looked it up, and I was really shocked that he asked her that, because he never told me he did. So he kept getting the feeling around him that he actually even wanted more than just to be her half brother. And it was really stressful for her. So when he moved out, again, he did it while I was asleep. And he sent me this really nice text. Oh, I'm going to come back in a couple of weeks and get my things. Well, in the meantime, he sent the most horrific text to Carly. 20 years ago, she got into some drug problem. She was working in a strip club, and she has always felt really bad and guilty about that. It was a horrible time for our family. She went to jail about it and everything. Okay, 20 years ago. Well, when he texted her, he threw that up to her, told her that she would never be anything but a stripper, told her that she was just a, prison, whatever words exactly he said. And, I was so upset because I told him, why are you saying those horrible things to her? Why? What's the point? And I said, that was really horrible for our family for years. And he turned around and called me a narcissist. And I said, I'm just trying to tell you how this hurt our family so much. And why, even if it wasn't my daughter, why, if you're a life coach, as you say, that you're bringing up things like this and being so horrible to people about it. I mean, now, he was fixated on her. I mean, I can actually have the text in front of me, but,
read it out.
was.
Don't read it out.
Okay. This is a text that he sent Carly. David sent Carly while he was being all sweet to me, telling me, oh, I'm going to come in 2 weeks and get my things from your house. So he said to Carly, you are an ugly person. You have surgery to be prettier, but it takes more than plastic surgery to make you a prettier person. You're ugly inside. You hate yourself, so you cannot look at yourself. You cannot take accountability or even apologize because you have to introspect. It hurts you because you have so much shame. You abuse people, exploit them like objects. You will never appreciate who a person is, only what they are meant to you. Ex-con, felon, stripper, meth head that abuses people. That's you. You try to compensate with ego and pride. Hence your statement, I'm a very successful person. You judge people and rate success on the only 3 things you value: appearance, status, and money. That's so not true. And it says you have 0 to offer anyone, including your daughter. She will only begin to be happy when she is finally away from you and can heal the damage you cause. You said when it's absolutely horrible. My grandbaby is an only child, and she goes to private Catholic school, and we all just love her, dwell on her. Okay, then he said, you said when my relationships are estranged, I will find another common denominator. But that is projection. Now, see, that's what David does. He's trying to tell, my daughter told him he was the common denominator because he has no friends, he has no family, he has no one in his life. And do not let him tell you he does, because he does not have any friends either. And all the friends he has met online on his video site. Then it says down here, nobody loves you, Carly. That is what you think of yourself. And then he put, you have a personality disorder. I mean, really?
Dr. David.
How does he get to diagnose her? You know? And then it says, you will never change who you are because you will not accept who you are and see that you are the problem. The therapy talk is bullshit, just like everything you say. So he goes on to say that he spent 2.5 years trying to get to know her and blah, 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 you know, and that's not right. That is not true at all. They didn't even talk. He didn't even talk to her for maybe 6 months at the most. 2.5 years. I don't know what that's about. He talked to me, but he didn't talk to her. And then he says, you never asked me a question about me. You know nothing about me but what negative stuff about yourself that you project onto me. Like everyone, you consume and offer zero. I mean, you know,
like everyone. Sorry. Did he say like everyone, comma, you consume, or is he saying like everyone you consume? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I didn't understand the context of it.
Okay. He said she never asked him a question about him, and that you project onto me like everyone else does. So that's basically saying everyone else projects onto him too.
Yeah.
That you consume and offer zero. You know, I mean, why is that little Freudian slip in there? Why is he saying like everyone? Because that's how his life is. He blocks everybody out. And it's him. He is the common denominator.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just going to try and add Val back to the stream. See how we go. Hang on. So that's really interesting. So how would you say Carly feels about David now?
She hates David. You know, she doesn't really, we don't talk about him. He's just like a nobody to us, completely nobody. You know, I tried. It cost me a lot of emotions because after that, he was texting me saying that he was so glad I adopted him out because he didn't want to be raised by me. And, you know, he knew how much all that hurt. But see, that's what David does. He will go to what hurts you.
Yeah.
And
that's an interesting statement.
Put it out there, whether it's a lie or not.
Well, we're learning a lot of truths about David in this conversation, I must admit.
Yeah, that's true. That's fascinating. So I want to ask about his clients. So Val has over the years been contacted by some of David's ex-clients. There's been Facebook reviews. There's been comments in other people's comment sections of their videos from David's former clients. So can you tell me, confirm if he does date his clients that you know of, and just what you know of David and his clients, what he says about them, etc.
I know confidentiality is paramount amount in seeing clients, but you know, people have to realize he is not legally bound to them because he has no license. He can talk about everything. Girlfriends. I know 4 girlfriends that he got off his video site. One of them, the most recent that I knew about before he left, was a girl named Ren. She lived in California. She was one of his clients in the past. And then he started talking to her and became real friendly with her. And he told me that, you know, he did not want a relationship with her because she wasn't his type. She was like the real runner type, the real muscular, and that he didn't want that. But she wanted a relationship with him. Then there was another client that was like in the Texas Congress. The guy was a lawmaker. Infidelity issues with his wife. And David was counseling him for that. And he said that he laughed and told me that he could tell when the guy was screwing around on his wife, because he wouldn't contact David for counseling. He would only come back to David whenever he was feeling guilty. This is according to David, that whenever he felt guilty and was afraid he was going to get caught. And then he would come back and make appointments to talk with David. Other than that, he wouldn't talk to him. And he would try to call him, but he couldn't get in touch with him or anything.
So the fact that he shares this information, if he's sharing it with you, who else is he sharing it with?
Yeah, that's so unprofessional.
Firstly, he shouldn't be dating. He's always admitted, or not admitted, he's always stood up fast. I do not date my clients. It's a bad thing. It's immoral. It's no ethic person in this business would ever date their clients. And there he is dating his clients.
Is we don't make friends or date clients, doctors, stuff like that. Patient-doctor relationship needs to stay professional. So we don't do anything outside. We don't go meet up for dinner and lunch, stuff like that. We don't go out on dates. We don't become friends.
And then it's also the ethics is we need to keep all this confidence and privacy. And there he is, he's talking about everybody's stuff.
And that's being the congressman. Being a congressman, that's some serious, that's like national security stuff. You know, seriously, when someone in the Congress is screwing around on their wife, that makes them vulnerable to blackmail, all kinds of things. That's like literal national security kind of stuff. Like, my
he's breaking the privacy.
Yeah, the man's talking about dangerous stuff when he's breaching people's privacy like that. So, sorry, Shawn, go on. Tell us more. So there was Ren, there was the detective in New York. Yeah. That's another case, getting her to do his dirty work.
She was a client, and she also wanted a relationship with David. Well, any female, he claimed, always wanted a relationship with him. So this girl talked with him like for several years. She was a detective that he told me he hired to get Val arrested, and that she was going to talk to the police in the UK to let him know what's going on and get Val arrested, in trouble, and that kind of thing. Well, actually, the girl came back and told him she could not do it. Because it's a different country, and that she hasn't done anything to warrant stalking charges. That it was, and after that, he wouldn't talk to her anymore either. He was tired of talking to her too, because she was putting him off. He was mad. He didn't have the money to pay for a detective because David has no money. I mean, I don't know. These people think they're giving him money. He doesn't have an office. He doesn't have money. But basically, that was the situation with this girl. The police never did that.
Always does that. He always references getting the police onto Val. So what he really means is, he's got a client that's in love with him to do some dirty work behind, and risk her career as well. I mean, just outrageous stuff. You also mentioned that he has a lot of people, viewers contacting him, but that it frustrates him or something because they're not paying. Is that right?
Some people, I know one of them is a girl named Roy, that his comments, and it just makes a whole lot of comments to him and his client, and other people's comments. And then he was mad because she just wanted free counseling and free stuff from him. And that he was going to tell her that, here, you can make an appointment. And he talked about a lot of his clients like that, because he said they just want free advice. And he would get mad, and he'd say, well, I just tell them, here, you can make an appointment here. I mean, he was, he talks like so sweet to all these people and totally just trashes them. I'm telling you, people, I am not kidding you. He is trashing his clients behind their backs. I mean, I have other examples too. Another person, and her name was Nova, I think. And she's from Australia. And I asked him, because while he was in my house, he never did any videos with her. And he told me that he decided he wasn't going to do videos with her anymore because she goes against what she's trying to teach people, that she has problems with men, and that she doesn't want to do the things that she's telling people, to do. Basically, she's not practicing what she preaches. After he left my house, I saw him in the video with her.
I actually wrote her a comment, and I said it in my last video, that I did try to warn her about David, but she didn't take my advice, and she continued.
I think they might have had a falling out. It looks like from what I can see, it looks like he hasn't had anything to do with her for at least 10 months. But the fact that he blames her, I'd say there's more to that story. And it'll be good if Nova actually did come out, because like I said, it looks to me like they've had some kind of falling out. Maybe she's realized and actually finally seen him for who he really is. Maybe the mask has actually slipped. So hopefully Nova will come out you know, and yeah, have something to say about David. That would be interesting, because, you know, you can't, she's obviously, so it's like you, Shawn. So you spoke to him for 2.5 years on the phone, you Skyped, you spoke daily. Obviously you thought you knew him. He is your biological son. You have that intimate connection. And even you know, it took 6 months for you to actually really see who David was, you know, but it took you living with him, you know, daily, seeing who he really is. And that's what Val and I are concerned about, is there's so many people on the internet who just seem to be accepting David for this face value person, for who he presents, you know, this kind of image and this false construct that he puts up, for the public by doing a half-hour video, you know, once every 2 days, whatever. So how would you describe who David DeMars is? If you were just using like just words, you know, just like running a few words off the top of your head. You know, there's the professional version of David, and then there's the real David. How would you describe the real David?
The real David is a major con man. He is a con man. He is conning these people out of money. He has no other job. This is his job that he supports himself with, and he has no other income. And so he cons these people. Like one thing that David does, that he does in his videos a lot, that he was always doing to me when he doesn't like you to disagree with him. If you disagree with him, even as a client, he will cut you off. And he tells me, why should I waste my time if they're not going to do what I say? And I said, well, it's more about giving them tools and letting them decide what they want to do. It's, you know, but yeah, he is a manipulator. And this is what he does. He did have a client in Scotland that he was trying to help an elderly lady get online, and she couldn't figure it all out. She couldn't get on Skype with him and everything. And he just went ballistic, screaming about her, cussing at her. David is a dangerous, manipulating man. And people, I know he's going to have followers no matter what, but he is obsessed with Val because she exposed him online. Dangerous.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. I'm so glad to hear that.
I've been smeared, I've been stalked, I've been attacked, I've been trolled. It's all been covertly behind the scene, using enablers, using other people, using other life coaches, trolling with fake accounts. And then he comes up on his screen and he says, oh, you've never seen me attack her, have you? Because he does it behind the camera. And to hear this from Shawn, it's just, it breaks my heart knowing that finally I'm getting some kind of person and some validation. And I know how victims feel when someone actually finally believes them. And this is the thing. I also want to bring up the review that I saw that about the suicide, because that's also really upset me. And I did try and, you know, let people know about that. And I do know that you did mention that he actually mentioned that to you, the review that wrote that somebody had tried to commit suicide, a 15 or 16-year-old girl, because she watched his borderline personality videos and felt completely worthless. And she tried to take her life, and she's now brain damaged. That upset me. And he has just done nothing. And I do know that he mentioned it to you, Shawn. Can you mention that?
He told me that this is the time we were talking about his clients, and he was telling me how crazy they all are. I mean, that's how he talked about them. They're crazy. They're just crazy. And I said, and he said, yeah, this one family that this girl, she was already crazy anyway. And she was coming to me, and that he had told her to get away from her family, leave her family like he does. And that she had tried to commit suicide. And that he said to me that, you know, she had issues anyway. She was already crazy. And he said, and now the family's trying to blame me because they're the ones that has screwed her up because she had so many issues.
A life coach would be calling the family, would be apologizing. I'm sure there'd be something that he would have done as an empathic person, but there's no empathy with David. There's no conscience.
Yeah, see how he pretends. Like, so Angie Atkins is another coach in our sphere who passed away recently, and David put out this gushing, you know, post all about it, so people would see how empathetic and how caring he is. But once again, that's just the mask. This is the reality. The reality is that one of his own viewers, tried to commit suicide. I mean, that's horrific. And to have zero empathy, and even worse, be blaming them. It just shows, you know, that the mask and the real David, the real David, as you said, is really, really dangerous, Shawn. Yeah, that's horrific.
anybody watching this, I'm big on evidence. I'm big. Yeah. I don't think anybody's probably noticed. I will never make a video unless I've got some proof. I will never ever say this is what he's done to me unless I've got proof, because I know that's what he does to me, saying she's done this, but he doesn't have proof. And, you know, the fact that now there's so many people coming out about David, and people, you know, you can't save the people that are, you know, fly monkeys or who have a bias towards him and who he grooms people in the comment section. You can't help them. But the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is so that anybody who's thinking of taking on a life coach, yes, a few people have got through it. Yes, there's lots of people out there that said, oh, he's great, he's helped me a lot. He does like to tell people to leave their family, to leave their husbands.
There's another woman, I just wanted to see if you know her name, if David ever mentioned Kim Wilson to you.
Yes, he told me that he went to this trip that was supposed to be like for people to go and get together about life coach. We're, you know, into that. And he told me that it ended up that one girl got in trouble. She got assaulted or something, and that everybody was trying to blame him, but he didn't do it. He said it was the girl's fault because she was the one coming on to him. He told me that. And then he also said that the girl that was hosting, I guess, that her name is Kim Wilson. And he told me that she was really kind of a trashy girl, that he was just communicating with her because it was going to help his business, wanting a relationship with him as well. But she was too low class. She was low class. He didn't want anything to do with her. And then he said he doesn't have anything to do with her anymore after that trip, is what he told me.
Did he say why?
Say anything about why. I just got the impression that things went really bad on that trip, and that he just felt like he should distance himself from her. So I'm not exactly sure his reasoning, but the fact that the trip went really bad.
Okay, that's interesting because, yeah, the trip did go very bad. Sorry.
Did he mention anything else about this lady called Elle? Because that's what we need to delve into, because, you know, the allegations is that he was very inappropriate sexually with her. You know, she literally was terrified to where she had to sleep with a knife under her pillow. You know, he kind of kept her away from the rest of the people, you know, and there's a lot.
He kept her trapped in his hotel room.
And I've got videos, if people do want it, I'll put my playlist under here, that, you know, he manipulated the group, and there was so much more involved in what happened there. But I just feel so sorry for the lady called Elle, because, you know, she was terrified by David.
I've got the email, so that Kim Wilson, who, like I said, was the person who organised this meetup, but Kim Wilson originally exposed David. She spoke out quite vocally about it, but then I think either David must have said something to her, or she realised that as the meetup coordinator, that, you know, there might be legal ramifications on her. So she did a full 180, changed the story, and attacked the victim. But what she originally said, this is in an email that she sent to Evening Ransom, who has a YouTube channel, who was in attendance at the event, and there was a group of other women. There was about 8 people turned up. So this is what Kim Wilson originally said. She said in this email that she referred to David as a super predator, this creepy narc freak, an extremely aggressive attack on Elle, and I believe he is dangerous. The anger, aggression, isolation, mind control, humiliation, name calling, and fear he caused, not on my watch. He is a narc. I saw that firsthand. So that in itself really kind of sums up David. I mean, does that sound like David to you when you hear that, Shawn?
Yes, totally. I mean, he is a predator. I mean, the reason, you know, anybody who gets all these women off your YouTube video channel, you know, that's just, to me, so, first of all, it's unprofessional to say the least. Second of all, if he thinks all these people are crazy or messed up, then why does he want to try to have a relationship with them? And then every single time the relationship, when somebody rejects him or doesn't want to do what he says, which he told me that he doesn't have anything to do when they don't do what he says. So yes, he's super manipulative. He is definitely a predator.
Can I ask Shawn? Sorry, this is a question that we forgot, so I wanted to go over. With the situation with Elle, the victim in Mexico, one of the things that she said that was that when he had her trapped in the room, he was talking inappropriately sexually to her and telling her that he liked to be involved in threesomes with 2 men and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in our conversations, you've told us about this, so I'd like you to share with the viewers what David told you about that scenario.
He told me that he had a girlfriend, and it was one that, like, when he got out of high school, or, you know, when he was started to live on his own, and that his best friend and him used to have threesomes with his girlfriend all the time. And that he told me that she said that, well, it's the best of 2 worlds because, you know, I can have sex with David and then it's easier, but I don't have to do anything. 2 men, I don't have to put much effort into it. But yeah, he told me that went on for a long time, and they were all in agreement that they'd come over, or his friend would come over, they'd have threesomes all the time.
See, that's
he
really
was asking me what I thought about it.
Wow.
Sorry, Shawn, I was just going to say that's really interesting because obviously the allegations that were made about him, as I said, Kim Wilson tried to silence his victim. Kim Wilson went and became an attack dog for David DeMars and silenced this victim from speaking out. But that was part of the story that got out about her, was that David had said that. Now, the fact that you can confirm that David actually does partake in threesomes with another man proves that he did say that to this victim. So, you know, even if nothing else was true, that is highly inappropriate. You know, a highly inappropriate conversation to be having with, you know, a victim of narcissistic abuse who's on, you know, this meetup with them. I mean, so this is evidence. Once again, this is evidence because David's, like I said, Kim Wilson bullied this victim into submission and silence. She also bullied Val and Evening Ransom. David sat back, let her do all the hard work. He didn't say a word. He never publicly denied it. He never addressed it. He never, ever even talks about it. But like I said, he lets Kim Wilson do all of his dirty work, essentially. And she did a very good job because she is she's a rabid. When we talk about attack dog, she is absolutely rabid. She said the most outrageous and horrific things. But like I said, she bullied the original victim back into silence and into therapy, sadly. So I'm so glad that you told us about that you can confirm that he did do that. So therefore he did say that to her. She's not just making up random stories.
2 men. Yeah, with Elle, he said to Elle, because I've got it in my videos, that he prefers 2 men and a woman, because he does like to be in bed with a man and a woman. It's weird how he's so contradictory, how he hates gays, he hates this. He's also apparently a racist that you were talking about. But then he portrays this image and he talks constantly about, you know, you shouldn't be racist and you shouldn't be this. And I don't mind about this. But the story and the picture you're painting of David is not the person that we see on the screen. It's just mind-boggling.
Absolutely not.
They're 2 different people. It's one.
No,
it's
David.
One is the mask. Sorry, Shawn. Go ahead.
And, you know, looking at David, he is very insecure. He's very low self-esteem, extremely low. I mean, when somebody cares that much about what his height is or anything like that. So, yes, that's what he's doing. In fact, that he is trying to say that he hates, you know, Antifa. He hates all this situations with the blacks here and that they made his life miserable in Portland. That's what he told me. And the fact that you're right. Usually it's 2 women and a man in bed together. And because you're going to rub up against the man no matter what. I mean, come on, let's just face that's what's going to happen. And so I just felt like he's a total fake. I mean, I watched some of his videos, not much really, because I just look at him like, how is he saying this when he has no education? And that's another thing his dad said to me too. His dad said that it's scary to him to see him out there with a 24-hour paper degree that anyone can buy, and he's counseling people. You know, that has to be wrong somewhere.
Yeah, that's deeply concerning. I agree. That's one of our biggest concerns, is that he's out there amongst very vulnerable people. So he's a predator, he's a fraud, and he's grifting. He's making his money off of vulnerable people, essentially. Yeah, it is very concerning. That's why we hope people watch this video with you and realize that, you know, if anyone knows him, it's you. I mean, you know, you really know this man inside and out, and you've lived with him, you know, 6 months is a long enough time to get a really good understanding of someone.
After he left, and, you know, we had a couple exchanges. He started telling me I was a narcissist. So David takes real life situations that might include anyone he knows, you know, and puts that into his little stories that he tells online. That's what I call them, stories. And he was doing that to me. There is one video that he did, and it was about a few weeks after he moved out, where he totally trashed me. Just stuff that was totally a lie, that he transformed into how he wanted it to sound. And it was all about me. He's talking about me. And in that video, I don't care what he said about it.
Sorry, Shawn, I saw that video.
Yes.
And he referenced you as being, I was on holiday with 2 women.
Yeah.
Okay, let me use an example. One time I took a 2-week vacation with a female and her best friend. And she felt like she wanted to gang up on me with her best friend and start bullying me. And totally changed. Didn't know this person that night. It was bizarre. And she started saying, you know what problems I have? And one of them, amongst many, was, you're just angry all the time. You're just an angry person, and you complain, and you do all this stuff. I just don't know why you're so angry. I'm worried about it, David. Well, I just don't know why. So she's obviously stonewalling. Right?
He didn't even have the decency to say, I was on a holiday with my mother and her friend. He made it out that, oh, I'm so, I've got so many friends and all these women adore me and I'm on a holiday with 2 of them. I mean, it's just pathetic. It's the grandiosity in man's mind. And the fact that just future faking and just telling stories. It's all just ridiculous.
And they have so much shame and think they're such a horrible person. They can't hear one little bad thing about themselves. And that's why people with personality disorders always blame everybody else and never get better, even in their 60s. Keep saying, you're so angry. I just don't get it. I'm concerned. I'm worried about you, right? I mean, you're just angry all the time. So I said, I'm going to tell you right now, if you let me. I'm going to tell you why I'm angry at you. And then she goes, well, what about my feelings? Like this, right? And I stop and I say, oh, I'm sorry. You feel bad? And she looks up at me like this. No tears, right? And she gets up and goes, and pouts herself to bed. That's it. Will not listen to who I am, my feelings, what I want, what I need, what I value. Will not, okay? That kind of stonewalling, unaccountability, irresponsibility, right? And I realized, you know what? This is over.
Mocking. Sorry, Shawn, we've noticed that you yourself have said that he mocks Val's voice in videos. We have also noticed him mocking you and impersonating you. Yeah. So that's, once again, that's another sign of someone who's not very stable or well. And he even says it himself. He even literally talks about, people mocking other people and how it's not a healthy thing and people shouldn't do it. But I've heard him mock you and you've heard him mock Val. I've also heard him mock Val. Is mocking something that he does often?
Yeah, he did. And when he did that video about me, he mocked me all the way through it. Yeah, he mocked me. And that is something that he does.
So, yeah, I did see that video.
That was my best friend of 30-something years and me that he was on the trip with. After he got drunk one night and really became really aggressive. And we were in bed and his dog, who is always around him, ran up into our bedroom and laid by my bed the whole night because he was in there throwing shit, cussing, screaming. He was drunk. This is what he does. He's very ignorant to think that people actually can't see through what he's doing. I mean, come on.
David's videos. I mean, when I say they're about me, he's going, I'm not talking about you're paranoid. I'm not talking about you. Well, he is. And most of the videos, I've got the videos. My stalking, there's no stalking going on. But he uses the videos to manipulate and to aim things at people. Not only me, he's probably doing it to other people as well, but we don't know who else he's dog whistling to. There's ex-clients. I mean, there's another client that's come out recently that she was an ex-client of David. And when you said he was screaming at people, she even said as an acknowledgement, he screamed at her. You don't do this to victims. You have to have control. You can't let your own emotions and your own paranoia and your own delusions and disorders. In fact, you shouldn't even be in that position of doing life coaching if you do have that. But that's where it gets really scary. And that's why me and Freedom, we're wanting to do what we do. And we're getting shouted at. We're getting accused of being bullies and everything like that. But there's reasons behind why we are doing what we're doing, because we're so worried about other victims out there. If you are good, and I was saying this once before, and I think this is where I lost my track. If you are good and you listen and you quietly sit there and you pay David and you're a good girl or a good boy, mind you, he doesn't like doing a lot of men apparently, you'll get through the therapy session in one piece. When you start arguing with David and say, look, David, I don't like talking about this, or, I don't feel comfortable with this, you annoy David, you will be a victim. So David has 2 types of people. David has the victims that get victimized by the people that he's done a good job with. And that's what narcissism is. They have 2 types of people. They will be really good. It's like on a bigger scale of a bloke being horrible to his wife and then going out and in front of his friends, he's the bee's knees. He's an amazing guy. The 2 sides. But that's why they create people who have succeeded with him. That's why David creates these people who he's done a good job on, because those are the people that will come back and victimize the ones that he hasn't done a good job on, the ones that he snarled at and screamed at and ghosted and left with their money and then threatened them and told them that, if they continue, they're going to, because that's what he does. He threatens to show all the information, doesn't he? And I think you've said that before. He terrifies people into silence. And then the people that he's been good to, they come out the woodwork and gang up on the victims.
Yeah, they do.
Yes. that's what really got me too, because I thought, here are these people ganging up on these people that David's telling them to, and because they're getting like good kudos from David for doing that or something. And if he was a true life coach, he would just blow it all off and just ignore anything about you. But he has to go into these long comments about, why you're stalking him. He is not. He is stalking you. And I am here to tell you, he is stalking you, and he is doing it deliberately, and he's doing it. And who knows who else is helping him create fake email accounts. And, if he can ask me, who he really didn't know, to do that, who else is he asking to do that?
Fake email accounts, to go behind my back and to troll me and all this business. Just proves that that's what he's done, and that's how he's abused me, and that's how narcissists do it. They're covert. They do it out of sight, and then their front picture is, hi, I'm a great person, I'm an empathic person, I've got conscience, I've got ethics. But behind the scenes, they're doing the little trolley thing at night, and they're faking up accounts and all this lot. It's unseen abuse, which is why he's got away with it for so long with me, because it's very hard to show people his abuse. I talk about it, but then what? It's reactive abuse. My videos are abusing him. It's just the worst position to be in as a victim of narcissism. Not just me as a victim, but I know there's victims out there of narcissism that are going through the same thing. And I don't want to give up, because then I'm going to be just the same as every other victim that gives up because they can't stand the smear campaigning, the abuse and the covert and ambiguous, all that. And I just feel if I give up this fight, then I'm giving up. For everybody out there who's ever been abused by a narcissist or a manipulator or anything, and I've just backed away and given up. And I'm a strong person. And do you know what I mean? And I just feel like I've failed people because I want to prove what narcissists are. And this is the stage. I've got this in front of me playing out in real life to people all around the bloody world. If I walk away, then I've just failed. Sorry. That's how I feel.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't feel like that, Val. I feel like you fought a long, hard battle with this man. And I think that if his own mother coming out and exposing him like this, doesn't change people's opinions or minds, nothing ever will, really, and they're just absolutely lost causes. But for other people, this video will be on the internet forever as a warning, essentially a warning from David DeMars' own mother about how dangerous he is